Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a case that's, well, truly baffling and deeply tragic. The disappearance of Khari McKeague, a British serviceman. It's one of those really unsettling stories, you know. Someone is seen and then they just vanish. Leaves behind so many questions and a family just desperate for answers. For this deep dive, we've drawn on detailed reports, the official investigations, basically everything that lays out the timeline, the huge search efforts, and the very difficult conclusions that were eventually reached. Our goal today is really to piece together Khari's last known movements, look at the different theories that came up during this massive investigation, and try to understand the tough reality that finally emerged. Okay, let's go back. It's Friday, September 23rd, 2016. Khari McKeague, born in '93, so quite young. He was a senior aircraftman in the Royal Air Force. That's the UK's Air Force.
A skilled role, too, gunner and medic.
Exactly. And by all accounts, just a happy, normal, bubbly kind of guy. People seem to really like him. That night, he was based nearby, and he'd driven to Bury St. Edmunds with friends for a night out.
Standard procedure, really. Planned to leave his car there overnight.
Yeah, sensible if you're planning on drinking.
Yeah.
So the night goes on, and, well, as often happens on nights out, Khari gets separated from his friends.
Right. Around 1 a.m., apparently he was asked to leave a nightclub. Seems he'd had quite a bit to drink.
Yeah, by all accounts, pretty intoxicated. So he leaves the club, walks towards his favorite takeaway place, Mamma Mia.
Makes sense. Late night, few drinks.
Definitely hungry work. He ordered a massive meal, 2 burgers, a kebab, and chips.
Wow. Okay.
So he gets his food, walks a little way, and sits down in a doorway, Hugh's electrical store, to eat.
And it's thought he might have actually dozed off there for a little while.
Yeah, seems likely. Late, bit drunk, full stomach. Not that unusual, maybe. But then, this is where it gets really critical. The CCTV. The last confirmed sighting of Khari McKeague is on camera at 3:25 a.m. He's on Brent Govell Street.
And crucially, he's seen walking into an area they call the horseshoe area.
Vicky, tell us about this horseshoe area. It sounds significant.
It absolutely is. And it's important to picture it. This wasn't like a main street or anything. It was basically an L-shaped service area tucked away behind some shops.
Right.
Filled with those big industrial bins, you know, for commercial waste. Often messy, littered. And locals knew it wasn't the nicest place. Had a bit of a reputation, unfortunately. Drug activity sometimes.
Okay. So he walks in there at 3:25 a.m.
And this is the haunting part. There is absolutely no footage, none, of him ever coming back out. He goes in, and visually he's gone. Never seen again on any camera.
Nobody realized straight away.
No, that's the thing. It wasn't until Monday, September 26th, so 3 days later, when he didn't turn up for work at the RAF base. That's when he was officially reported missing.
3 days. That's a long time in a missing person case.
It really is. It gives any potential trail time to go cold.
So once he's reported missing, the police and the RAF search teams, they swing into action immediately.
Yeah, a major search operation kicks off.
And one of the first really baffling clues comes from his phone, his mobile phone data.
Right. This was maybe the most crucial early lead.
On the morning he disappeared, Saturday morning, his phone didn't just stay in Bury St. Edmunds.
No, the data showed movement, a journey specifically.
From Bury St. Edmunds out to Barton Mills, that's about 12 miles northwest.
And the journey took about 26 minutes, which clearly suggests
a vehicle. Definitely not walking pace.
Exactly. So the immediate question for police was, how did his phone get there? Did he get a lift? Was he taken? Or was it just the phone?
What happened to the phone after that?
Well, it either got switched off or the battery died or maybe it was damaged. It stopped transmitting around 8 a.m. that morning, and it's never, ever been found.
Never found. Wow. Okay, so this phone pinged.
Yeah.
It led the police somewhere specific, right?
It did. They immediately looked for vehicles that traveled that route, Bury St. Edmunds, towards Barton Mills in that time frame. And they identified a bin lorry, a garbage truck.
Okay.
But here's the first sort of twist, or maybe confusion. They seized that lorry, examined it, and the weight data for its load was only 33 pounds.
33 pounds. That's very light.
Extremely light. Given Khari weighed around 200 pounds, they knew instantly, definitively, he could not have been inside that specific lorry.
Right. So that lorry's ruled out for carrying him, but the idea of a bin lorry being involved is now firmly planted.
Pretty much. It ruled out one vehicle, but reinforced the possibility of that mechanism somehow ending up in the waste disposal system.
So what do they do then? They searched the route that lorry took.
Yes. Searches happened along that route between the towns. They had to consider all possibilities. Maybe he got a lift, like his mom Nicola suggested. She thought he might have accepted one if offered, trying to get back to base.
And meanwhile, the months are ticking by, no Khari.
Exactly. And you can imagine the family's agony.
By December 2016, Khari's mother, Nicola, she went public. Expressed frustration, felt the police weren't doing enough, maybe.
Yeah, she voiced concerns. It's understandable. The lack of answers is torture for a family.
There was an appeal fund, raised over £50,000. Nicola even talked about hiring a private investigator. Just shows how desperate they were getting.
Absolutely. But, the police were exploring other angles, too, during this time. It wasn't just the bin lorry theory.
Like what?
Well, they looked into his personal life.
Right.
His activity on swinger websites came up.
Right, I remember reading about that.
Yeah. So it raised this possibility. Could he have arranged to meet someone, maybe near that horseshoe area? Some people looked at that last bit of CCTV where he walks into the horseshoe area and thought he looked like he was, looking around for someone.
As if expecting to meet someone there.
Potentially. It was another line of inquiry they had to follow, another theory to check out.
Okay, fast forward a bit. It's now February 2017. 5 months since Khari disappeared. And the police make a big decision. They're going to search a landfill site.
Right. And this is crucial. It's where his mobile phone signal last pinged, near Barton Mills. And it's linked to a different bin lorry, not the first one they checked.
So this marks a real shift towards the bin theory again.
Definitely. The prominent theory now is that Khari, being very drunk, maybe climbed into one of those big industrial bins in the horseshoe area.
To sleep. Or just get out of the cold.
Perhaps either. Seeking shelter, maybe disoriented. And the horrifying possibility then is that the bin truck collected the waste the next morning and he was inside, crushed, and then transported to the landfill.
God, that's awful to think about.
It is. And tragically, the source reports mention this kind of thing has happened before. Accidental deaths in bins.
But his family didn't buy this theory, did they?
No, they were very strongly against it, particularly his mom, Nicola. They argued he was really proud of his appearance, his RAF uniform, his military bearing. They just couldn't see him climbing into a dirty bin.
They thought he'd gone to his car.
Exactly. His car wasn't that far away. They felt strongly he would have gone there if he needed somewhere to sleep it off.
That really highlights the clash, doesn't it? The family's knowledge of him versus the forensic possibilities.
It really does. It's a painful difference in perspective, driven by love on one side and, evidence on the other.
So this landfill search, it was massive, wasn't it?
Immense. The scale is hard to comprehend. They plan to search an area of 1,100 square yards.
How deep?
Down to 25 feet, sifting through tons and tons of compacted waste.
And they thought it would take 10 weeks.
Initially, yes. But by May 2017, it was already clear it was taking much longer, and the cost was mounting. £1 million just for that search by May.
£1 million. Just incredible resources being poured into this. Imagine the physical and emotional effort for the search teams.
Day after day, in difficult, sometimes hazardous conditions, searching for any sign.
And June 5th, 2017, there's a bit of news. A potential breakthrough.
Yeah, the police announced they were finding items dated to the right time period from the right geographical area, stuff that could have come from Bury St. Edmunds around the time Khari vanished.
Oh, wow. That must have felt like, maybe this is it.
You can only imagine the hope that generated. For the family, the police, everyone invested in finding him. A real glimmer.
But it didn't last.
Sadly, no. That hope was short-lived. On July 21st, that's 20 weeks into the search, 5 long months, police announced the landfill search was over, and they'd found no positive results.
Nothing after all that.
Absolutely nothing directly linked to Khari. All that effort, all that money, all that hope, dashed. It was a huge blow.
Just devastating. So where did they go from there? Back to square one?
Pretty much, but with fewer options. They started looking through incinerated waste material as another possibility.
And then another twist.
Yes. In October 2017, they announced they were going to search another landfill site, a different one at a place called Milton.
Hold on. Another landfill. What did that imply?
Well, it strongly suggested that the first massive £1 million search might have been in the wrong place altogether.
Oh, my God. That's heartbreaking.
Right.
All that time, effort, money, potentially misdirected.
A truly devastating realization for everyone involved, especially the family.
So they searched the Milton site. What happened?
The outcome, ultimately, was the same. Despite the renewed efforts, no trace of Khari was found.
And then, in March 2018, the police made an announcement.
Yes. They stated they were officially closing the active investigation into Khari's disappearance.
Why?
Their reasoning was stark. No realistic lines of inquiry left. They felt they'd exhausted all avenues.
Wow. That must have been incredibly hard for the family to hear. Officially closed, no answers.
Absolutely. Years of searching, hoping, pushing, ending like that. Terribly frustrating and deeply sad.
But the story doesn't quite end there, does it?
Yeah.
There was something from Khari's father.
That's right. A really significant and quite profound moment came later. Khari's father, Martin McKeague, he released a statement on social media.
What did he say?
It was incredibly poignant. He stated publicly that he accepted his son, Khari, was in the Suffolk waste disposal system somewhere.
He accepted the bin theory.
Yes. And he added that his son's remains were, in his words, essentially irretrievable.
Wow. That's a huge admission for a father to make.
It really is. He also mentioned something quite personal, that his son, Khari, actually was prone to sleeping in unusual places sometimes, including on top of or inside bins.
So that countered the earlier family stance a bit.
It did. It was a heartbreaking acceptance of the most probable, albeit horrific, scenario. Coming from his father, it carried immense weight.
So what led the police, and eventually the family, to this level of certainty, even without finding him?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? What convinced them, beyond reasonable doubt, even without physical proof?
And the police did reveal that final piece, didn't they, in October 2018?
Yes. They explained the critical evidence that underpinned their conclusion and likely Martin McKeague's acceptance. It came down to data analysis, specifically the weight records for the bin lorry that serviced the Horseshoe area and traveled to the Milton landfill site.
The second landfill they searched.
Okay. They looked at the weights of the bins collected from that specific Horseshoe area route over a long period.
And normally, what did those big industrial bins weigh?
Typically, even full of normal commercial rubbish, they weighed between 44 and 66 pounds when collected. Pretty consistent.
Okay, 44 to 66 pounds. Standard range.
Right. Now, here's the chilling detail. They analyzed records for the entire period from January 2016 right through to February 2017. Over a year's worth of data.
Yeah.
In that entire period, there was only one time, a single instance, when a bin collected from that Horseshoe area weighed significantly more. Over 200 pounds.
One time. When was it?
It was recorded on the morning of Monday, September 26, 2016. The morning after Khari disappeared.
And the weight?
256 pounds, way, way above the normal range, significantly heavier than usual by about 200 pounds.
Which is about a Khari's weight.
Exactly. That single anomalous weight reading, occurring at precisely the right time and place, became the linchpin. When you combine that with everything else, the last sighting entering the area, the phone traveling in a vehicle along that exact lorry's route to Milton, the lack of any other credible sighting or evidence,
it just points overwhelmingly in one direction.
It became, for the police and eventually the family, the most likely, almost certain explanation. They firmly believe Khari got into that specific bin, it was collected, and his remains tragically ended up in the Milton landfill site.
But lost within tons of waste. Irretrievable.
That's the deeply sad conclusion. Irretrievable.
And so that seems to be where the story of Khari McKeague ends. Not with finding him, but with this data-driven certainty about what most likely happened.
It's a very unsettling end, isn't it? Knowing almost certainly what occurred, but having no physical confirmation, no grave to visit.
Yeah. It's clear that finding his actual remains might just be impossible now. Lost somewhere in that vast waste system.
So, looking back at this whole case, the disappearance of Khari McKeague, it really is just a stark, sobering reminder, doesn't it?
Absolutely. How a normal night out, something thousands of young people do, can just take such an awful, irreversible turn.
Leading to years of just agonizing uncertainty for his family, and then this deeply unsettling conclusion based on, well, bin weights. It highlights the power of forensic investigation, even using seemingly mundane data, but also its limitations when evidence becomes physically lost like this.
What really stands out to you, thinking about this deep dive?
For me, I think it's the sheer scale of the search effort contrasted with the finality of that single data point. The million-pound search yielding nothing, and then this weight anomaly providing the most probable answer. And also, that clash between the family's initial beliefs and the eventual grim reality they had to face, that's profoundly sad.
Yeah, it's a testament to the searchers, the police, who kept going for so long, even when the truth they uncovered was so hard to accept and impossible to, physically prove.
Yeah.
Makes you think, doesn't it, about the everyday systems around us. Bins, waste disposal. things we barely notice.
You just don't consider their potential role in a mystery like this.
Or that they could become the final irretrievable resting place for someone who just vanished?
Yeah.
It really does make you pause, doesn't it? A truly haunting thought to end on.